Euston, we have liftoff. Okay, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to this special Cabinet. I'm going to press on with the agenda before us today. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Councillor Bailey, Councillor Linden.
Councillor Youd?
I might need to leave a bit early.
Okay, hopefully we'll be able to get through business, but thank you for that. Okay, moving on with the next agenda item. Are there any declarations of interest as per the agenda before us? Councillor Kelly?
Yeah, as in the previous meeting, if I declare as a director of Derive, the housing provider for Salford City Council. Thanks.
Chair, I would like some guidance on from the city solicitor for this, because I'm not convinced we need to declare it at every meeting, actually.
Okay, we can take that away and advise colleagues appropriately. Thank you very much. Okay, so moving on to the substantive agenda item, the Places for Everyone Publication Plan 2021, a joint development plan document for the 9 Greater Manchester local authorities of Bolton, Bury, Manchester, Oldham, Rochdale, Salford, Tameside, Trafford and Wigan. I'm going to hand over to the lead member for Planning and Sustainable Development, Councillor McCusker.
Thank you, Chair. As we covered during the last meeting where the Council agreed to that the Places for Everyone publication plan supporting background documents will be submitted to the Secretary of State. This is a delegated power in terms of the City Mayor in consultation with his Cabinet to approve the Places for Everyone publication plan. As we stated earlier, this is a strategic document covering 9 local authorities. It's imperative that we have a plan which sitting alongside other key strategy documents for the Greater Manchester Combined Authority is able to bring forward the vision for Greater Manchester that will create conditions for inclusive growth, provide opportunities for much needed homes, define a new green belt boundary, to provide the opportunity for growth in key infrastructure delivery and protect and enhance our environmental assets. Therefore recommend to the Chair that that the City Mayor approves the Places for Everyone publication plan.
Thank you very much, Councillor McCusker. Do we have any questions or comments on the recommendations before Cabinet today? No, I think I will say a few words myself if you'll allow me Chair's prerogative. But obviously this is a strategic policy framework that we're setting out here in the Places for Everyone plan and strategy to meet, as has been highlighted, housing needs, deliver inclusive growth, and importantly, deliver more affordable housing. As you know, there's a 50,000 target, 30,000 of which will be social rent across Greater Manchester. And importantly, also deliver our aspirations around carbon neutrality by 2038. It's important to highlight, really, that within this plan, we're setting out a balanced approach where the majority of development will be taking place within an urban area. The limited number of sites released in sustainable locations supported by infrastructure, including green infrastructure. The approach taken in the plan is to support, as you highlighted, Councillor McCusker, continued strong growth at the core of the city regional foundation, where we'll see over 50% of the housing land identified. Can you hear me? Yeah. The vast majority of office floor space is also located in the city centre and the surrounding wards. And importantly, as you said, around the whole importance of inclusivity, it's also about boosting the competitiveness of the northern local authorities within Greater Manchester, if you like, our own local form of levelling up. There we go. Providing high quality employment opportunities served by public transport and accessible to communities in the north of the city region. It's also about ensuring that the drivers of growth in the south as well of the city region are equally supported. So we're thinking about the strategic importance of the airport and obviously forthcoming HS2, fingers crossed. You'll also see within the report that the land supply identified in the plan is mainly in the urban area, and this was a point that we highlighted at Council this morning. Housing, we're talking about 90% of the housing being delivered through this plan will be in the urban area. Offices, 99%, warehousing and industry, again creating jobs and opportunity, very important post-COVID, 47% will be in the urban area. And importantly, there is limited Greenbelt release proposed in the plan, and over 60% less than was proposed in the 9 districts in the 2016 spatial framework. Arguably, that is a radical redraft. But importantly, this consultation will be testing the soundness of the plan, and the soundness is determined in some respects by the tests articulated within the National Planning Policy Framework. So the point that Councillor McCusker made previously about the NPPF having implications for the plan and it not being the other way round is exactly that. And also we're ensuring through this consultation that this plan is legally compliant. So without further ado, colleagues, I'll draw your attention to the recommendations in the report, but I thought it was worth just quickly highlighting what we're trying to achieve here through this plan. So, 2 recommendations before Cabinet today are, it is recommended that the City Mayor, in consultation with his Cabinet, approves the Places for Everyone publication plan 2021, including strategic site allocations and Greenbelt boundary amendments and reference to potential use of compulsory purchase powers to assist with site assembly and the supporting background documents for publication pursuant to the Regulation 19 of the Town and Country Planning, Local Planning England Regulations 2012 for a period of representation of 8 weeks commencing no earlier than the 9th of August. I will highlight there at that point, the papers have been in the public domain since the 12th of July, so there is actually a 12-week period of members of the public being able to engage with this plan. And then secondly, it is recommended that the City Mayor, in consultation with his Cabinet, delegates to the Strategic Director of Place authority to approve the relevant statement of common grounds required pursuant to the National Planning Policy Framework 2019. Are we happy to...
Chair, can I comment, please?
Oh, sorry. I thought we moved on from comments and questions. I did invite that, Councillor Mary. You didn't come in.
Sorry?
I did invite questions and comments, but you didn't come in. But anyway.
No, because I want to comment on what you said.
What I said? Okay, go for it.
Yeah, because I know that you're a Democrat and would like the opportunity for people. Because I just wanted to emphasise the importance of what we're talking about in terms of the consultation, actually, because in the consultation, I think what we're saying is that we can adapt and change according to what those issues are, providing they don't destroy any of the principles behind the framework. And the second point I want to make is just how vital this is actually to the whole planning framework that we're actually adopting as a City Council. Today at Council, for understandable reasons, we had people who wish to oppose this. My message to them is fairly clear. By all means, let's try and work with you in terms of the consultation. But at the end of the day, we're giving you a shield that will defend you against the predations of developers who could, if we just rejected this, leap in and come forward with their own plans and then appeal directly to the Secretary of State. So I think the points you've made are absolutely of critical importance. This is about taking back control of the planning process rather than washing our hands of it, and that's why I'm really in favour of it, actually.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mary, and thanks for those comments. And you're absolutely right to highlight that One, government requires us to actually have a plan in place. So there's no choice around this. This is something that is being required by us of government. And the primary benefit, and I'll say this over and over again, is having a plan means we can steer development in the city to the places of the city we want development to happen, rather than developers just choosing arbitrarily where they want to build homes or the economy of the future here in Greater Manchester. And not only that, if we engage in development by appeal, that will cost the City Council an absolute fortune defending our position in terms of decisions taken by the Planning Committee through the courts. And also that is a protracted process as well and can take a long time. And you'll literally be doing that on a planning application by planning application basis. So the actual costs of doing that will soon mount up and have quite profound impact, I would argue, on the revenue budget, which has already seen, as we've highlighted today, 220 million cut from it since 2010 and 11. So having a plan is in the financial interest, it's in the legal interest of the City Council, and in my opinion, it's in the moral and ethical interest of this city, because you're absolutely right, Councillor Merry, it is about protecting us against the developers who may want to build anywhere in our city, and that includes some of our most precious green space that is deriving significant public utility for the residents and communities of our city. Thank you. Councillor Cusack.
Thank you, Chair. It's a question on what you said, really, in relation to the plan and the planning proposals under the new planning white paper. As I understand it, the planning white paper has suggested that local plans focus on identifying land under 3 categories, that is, growth, renewal and protected. And the presumption is that in the growth areas, virtually any planning permissions will be acceptable. I just wonder whether this, on the one hand, erodes the plan, and if it doesn't erode the plan, how else can we protect ourselves from development pressures that we don't see as acceptable?
That's a very good question, and I think, that's yet to be determined in some respects in terms of what the government's white paper will actually mean in practice. I think, given the white paper and given the concerns that you've rightly highlighted around those growth locations and the disenfranchisement, really, of residents and communities from the planning process, actually forging ahead now at this point in time to put a plan in place for Greater Manchester and the city region is absolutely of paramount importance, because like you, I'm deeply, deeply suspicious and I'm deeply, deeply concerned about some of the provisions within the government's planning white paper and what that may or may not mean for the future of planning committees and the future of local government in terms of setting strategic goals, ambitions and policies locally with our communities in consultation with our communities. You're absolutely right. It feels like another power grab by the halls of Whitehall and Westminster, and we need to continue to lobby and influence in that space to oppose some of those provisions. But I think what it points to for me is the absolute necessity to forge ahead with getting a plan in place for Greater Manchester as quick as we possibly can. I don't know if Councillor McCusker, you wanted to say anything on that, but I'm happy to come to you if you would like.
Yes, I suppose the recent by-election defeat by the Conservative candidate over primarily HS2 and planning, local planning issues has sent shockwaves through the government, and it'll be interesting to see what impact that will have on the planning arrangements coming forward. But I think the City Mayor is absolutely right. The reference to the fact that over £60 million in paid by developers into the government coffers. He who pays the piper calls the tune. However, I think there is a sizable growing concern within the Conservative backbenchers about the implications for local democracy and impact on environments that could significantly bring changes. But I think the Mayor's absolutely right. We need this plan, and we need to get it in and signed off as quickly as we can to give us as much protections as possible.
Thank you very much, Councillor McCusker. I mean, there are other things in the white paper we could probably talk about, such as permitted development rights and the acceleration of that, and also concerns around fire safety in light of permitted development rights. But, you know, we're not discussing the white paper here today, but there are lots of aspects of that white paper that are deeply concerning, and I think forging ahead with our own plan for Greater Manchester is absolutely what we should be doing. So, without further ado, if there aren't any further questions or comments, can I ask colleagues if you're happy to agree the recommendations in consultation with yourself for myself?
Agree.
Agreed. Those are carried. I've not been made aware of any other business or any urgent business, so I think that concludes this special cabinet. Thank you very much for your attendance.